So this side, Karthik, and I'm the trainer for IBP. And today's main agenda is just to give an overview on IBP and majorly into the order-based planning. Let me quickly share my screen. Let me know once you guys able to see my screen. Any one of you, can you please quickly confirm? Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So what we'll do is, so first we'll see what is the supply chain, and then how IBP is there to help to handle the supply chain problems, and what are the sub-modules are there in IBP, and finally we'll go in details about the what are the functions or the features of the R&S, responsive supply planning. So if you see here, generally, what exactly a supply plan? Any one of you have any idea what we do in the supply plan? Maybe I think Raj, you might aware you already into APU. What actually we do under the supply planning?
Planning of materials at the right time, at the right place, uh,
Mhm.
and yeah, at the right quantity.
Right. Right. So basically, the supply chain is revolves around your uh, uh, the nodes which helps you to some nodes which help you to procure the raw material, some nodes will help you to manufacture it, some nodes will help you to distribute, and some nodes will directly hand over to the customer, right? So supply chain is will connect all those nodes, so ultimately to satisfy the customers, to deliver the customers on time with the right quantity, with a right quality at the right point of time. So now if you see, if I take a simple supply chain network here, so obviously the starting node of any supply chain network is a customer. So these customers connected to the nearest retailers or the distribution centers, and distribution centers will connect to the manufacturing units, and the manufacturing units will connect to the suppliers or the vendors. So whenever any demands comes from the customer, okay, to the retailer, retailer will verify the stock. If the stock is there, he will directly fulfill that, and if not, he will propagate that requirement or the demand to the distribution centers, and distribution centers verify their stock situation. If it is there, then it will straight away fulfill the retailer's demand. Otherwise, that demand it will propagate to the manufacturing units. So they the based upon the raw materials availability or the capacity of the resources, it will plan the production. And during the production, if it is required the raw materials, it will take it from the suppliers or the vendors, right? So once the production is done, or the it will give it to the distribution center. Distribution centers will give it to the retailer. Retailer gives to the customer. So we need to manage this flow. The whatever the demand we get it from the customer, it propagates in the upward direction towards the supplier, and the supply which comes from the suppliers to the plant to the DC to the customer, so downward stream. So in order to manage this, you need a tool, obviously, because in reality, in the real time, we don't have only one customers. We have n number of customers. We have n number of retailers or distribution centers. So it is difficult to manage manually to for this demand flow or the supply flow, right? For that only, so we have multiple tools available in the market. So from SAP side, we have SAP APO and IBP, right? So APO, I mean, it was there almost 2 decades in the market, but SAP stopped supporting. I mean, going to stop the support, and it stopped development in the area of APO. Now, as For the APO, we have a replacement, that is a integrated business planning. It's a cloud-based solution. So IBP is subdivided, or it contains the multiple modules to handle the end-to-end supply chain. Okay, so let us see one by one. The first one is a demand planning. So any idea what we exactly we do in the demand planning? I mean, forget about the IBP, in general, what we do in the demand planning. So irrespective of the any tool. Divya, maybe Vikram, any idea? Raj, what exactly we do in the demand planning, or what is the general demand planning cycle we have, irrespective of the a tool?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So based on the sales history and other market inputs, we arrive at forecasts.
Mhm. Right. So basically, in the demand planning, it's a forecasting tool, right? So based upon the past sales history, it will help you to predict the future sales. And here in IB for demand, okay, it covers the end-to-end demand planning cycle. So if you take a demand planning cycle, first you need to gather the historical data. Once you gather the historical data, you need to clean the historical data, and then you need to choose the best forecast algorithm or the formula. With that, you will generate the forecast with whichever is giving a less error, and you will freeze it and you will release that to your SNOP, right? So same thing when I bring it to the IB for demand. So once you gather the historical data, to clean the historical data, we have multiple methods are there. We have substitute missing values, we have promotional sales elimination, we have outlet deduction and the correction. So with the help of those methods, we can clean your historical data, and then to before picking the right forecasting model, we have ABC XYZ segmentation and the time series analysis, which will help you to give a more idea about your products and the patterns it is following it, and to pick up the right forecast model, we have the best fit forecasting method is there, which will help you to pick up the right one based upon your sales history patterns. It supports all kinds of algorithms which deals with the seasonality, trend, continuity, or if there is any intermediaries there or the noises are there. So whatever may be the sales history pattern for your product, there are all kinds of algorithms are there which will handle the demand planning, and it will help you to generate the statistical forecasting. So now once you know that this is the demand I'm going to get for the future months, the next thing is you need to manage the supply, right? So how you are going to fulfill that, how you are going to plan the supply. So that will be dealt under the response and supply. Okay. So here it has a both constrained and unconstrained supply planning runs are there. So those are heuristic and optimizer. Depending upon the organization's requirement, will go for the respective planning runs, right? So apart from the demand and the supply, in IBP we have inventory as well. So inventory, it's help you to keep the right inventory at the right node of your supply chain network. So basically, to avoid the stock out situation or high inventory holding costs, obviously the inventory planning is required. Again, it has its own algorithms or the planning runs to help you to understand the stock norms. That is a multi-stage inventory optimization, single-stage inventory optimization, and the target inventory position. Now, apart from the demand, inventory, and the response to supply, we have the DDMRP as well, which comes under IBP. So basically, this will help you to understand your stock buffers. Okay, so what is how much stock I need to keep it under the green zone, yellow zone, and the red zone by considering your demand. Okay, and it will help you to avoid the stock out situations. Now, apart from these plannings, we have the on top of this, we have the sales and operations planning. So generally, under the sales and operations planning, what we do will interact with your all your stakeholders. So we'll take the inputs from them, we'll freeze our consensus demand or the supply, right? So so if you want to have a systematic approach or the systematic process to track your S&OP meetings, then you can go for the sales and operations plan. So on top of this, we have the supply chain control tower, and this is a analytic tool, so which will help you to visualize the data in the form of the charts or dashboard. Whatever the results you get it as a part of the demand planning or the inventory planning or the supply planning. So those results, if you want to visualize in the form of the charts or the dashboards, then supply chain control tower is there for that. And even to visualize the KPIs also, we can use the supply chain control tower. Now, these modules at the back end, it will be backed by the S4HANA database. Now, if you look at the architecture of IBP, so backend, as I mentioned, the backend database is S4HANA, and IBP is a purely a planning tool. It won't do the execution at all. So it has to get the data from your source system and do the planning here. Once the planning is done, you just publish the results back to your source system. To connect with your source system, whether it's a SAP or non-SAP system, if it is a SAP system, either it is ECC or S4HANA, you can get the data to IBP and do the planning. And once planning is done, you can publish the results back to your source system. For that, we have RTI is there and the CADS is there. So cloud platform integration and the real-time integration. So RTI is mainly supported for the SAP systems only. If it is other than SAP or non-SAPs, will go for the CADS. Now, IBP has two user interfaces. One is an Excel user interface, and the second one is a web user interface. And as IBP is available in the web, you can access from anywhere via mobile or via tab or via PC. You can access it via any device from anywhere. Okay. So now let us go into the our major module, that is a response and supply. So if you are aware, so there are three types of plannings will be there, right? So let us say, so we have long term, the strategic, we have a strategic planning, we have tactical planning, and we have a operational planning. Anybody have any idea on this? What is strategic planning? What is tactical planning and operation planning? Any idea? Have you heard these terminologies? Any one of you? Divya, Vikram, Raj. Have you heard these terminologies? Yeah. So strategic planning is a long-term plan. So it will help you to plan for the next 1 to 5 years. Okay. So if you want to understand, if you want to keep your supply chain into the market, what are the products, how to produce, how to plan for the next in the future 1 to 5 years. So then we'll go with this strategic planning. So and tactical is a midterm plan. So this is varying from the 2 months to the one a year. I mean 12 months. 2 months to 12 months you can do the planning. It's a midterm plan. And the next one is operations planning. So here the daily level transactions which comes into the picture, and it's a short-term plan. So here it will plan 0 to 6 months. So now when you take this into the IBP strategic, if you want to do a long-term planning, so then we'll go for the time series heuristic. So heuristic will be helpful to carry out the strategic planning. And tactical planning, so mostly will go with the finite planning runs, either heuristic or optimizer. Again, it's a time series. And whereas if you want to do the short-term planning, so that is actual operations planning. So there, our OBP comes into the picture, order-based planning, right? So if you go here, if you see this, so whatever the sales and operations or the demand or the inventory, that will be there in the tactical. So your response and supply will sit in between the mid to short term. Okay. So it will take the input from your demand planning or the inventory planning, or if required, if you have a demand sensing results, that is also it will take as an input and it will carry out your supply planning here. Okay. So if you want to position your IBP response and supply, so you can position under mid to short term plan. So now if you look at the what are the major features of IBP response and supply. So I can categorize at the higher level four different categories. So one is it will support the supply planning and the allocation planning. So supply planning, basically what it will do, it will read your existing constraints and it will read your demand, and against that it will help you to generate the receipts. It can be a planned orders or the purchase requisitions, all those things. So whenever you are generating that supply plan, it will also considers allocations which you have maintained. So that is like if you want to set a upper limit, the thresholds for each customer demands in order to utilize existing resources optimally and to cater all kinds of customer demands, then go for the allocations planning. Okay, so basically allocation planning will help you to restrict or it will help you to cap your receipts against your customer demands. Now here again, it will support the heuristic and optimizer depending upon your organization requirement. You can go with the any kind of planning run. So you can, if you want to have a cost-based planning run, then we'll go for the optimizer. If it is a generic, then we'll go for the heuristic. So now it will support the response planning as well. So basically, when you are in the APO days, what we used to do is, I mean, with the help of SNP, we'll take the supply planning run, we'll get the receipts, okay? And then after generating the receipts, against your receipts, in order to confirm your requirement, we used to depend upon the GATP. So with the help of the BOP, we'll read your requirement and receipts, and it will update your delivery dates into your requirements, right? That is a sales orders. But whereas when you are going with the response and supply, there is no need to depend upon the BOP of ATP. So it has that flexibilities. Whatever the receipts you have generated, with the help of those receipts, it will update your requirements. So it will help you to update your delivery dates, or it will help you to generate the schedule lines against your requirements in the sales order. So there is no need to take a separate tool to update your confirmations. So with the help of the response planning, you can manage that. Hope you are following, right? So now the next thing is deployment plan. So when we are doing the supply planning, so what we used to do, we'll read your requirements, and against that you will generate the receipts elements. So the receipts elements can be a planned order, or it can be a purchase requisitions or the stock transfer requisitions, right? So deployment planning comes where once you done the planning at the plant, you need to transport that to the distribution centers of the retailers, right? So there the deployment planning comes into the picture. So it will, whatever the supply plan you have generated, that you are going to freeze or you are going to confirm by considering the short-term changes. If there is any sudden rise in the demand, or if there is any urgent requirement comes to the specific node, or if there is a delay in the productions. So in order to tackle those short-term changes, okay, whatever the existing receipts you have, by considering that, it will optimize your distribution plan. So that will be done under the deployment planning. If you want to explain technically, generally we'll get the stock transfer requisitions between the DCs to the plant. So after taking a deployment planning run, so that will be converted to the deployment STRs. Okay, that will be a freezed or the confirmed one, which you are going to execute into the S4HANA. So the next thing is the transportation and load building. So when we are doing the planning, supply planning, you will get the receipt elements, as I mentioned, the planned orders or the purchase requisitions or the stock transfer requisitions. So when we are doing I mean, after reading the results, the transportation load building, what it will do is, it will help you to optimize your transportation. So for example, so for the transportation, you have three types of modes are there. Let us say you have a big size truck, a small truck, medium, the large. Okay. So these we call it as equipments in the IBP. So it can be, I mean, a truck, it can be a bus or any other vehicles. Via that you are going to transport the goods, right? So here, for example, after the supply planning run, you got three purchase requisitions or the stock transfer requisitions. Let us say 01, 01, 01, 02, 01, 03, for example. So these are the three purchase requisitions you have generated after the supply planning run. Now, when you take a transportation and a transportation load billing or the TLB run, by taking these as an inputs, by considering your equipment's capacity and everything for the transportation, so it can, instead of transporting individually 101 separately, 102 separately, 103 separately, if you have a capacity to transport 101 and 102 together, what it will do is it will club these two requirements into the one, as let us say 104 with a item 10, 104 with the item 20, so that you, with the same purchase requisition or the stock transfer requisition, you are managing the both the requirements, so that via single transportation you can transport between the nodes, right? So this will be updated into your S4HANA for the further execution. So transportation, the TLB run will help you to optimize your transportation plan in a best way by reading your supply planning results. Any doubts here? Any doubts? Right. So now, how we can integrate IBP to your source system as for HANA when you are dealing with your order-based planning. So specifically for the order-based planning, we depends upon the real-time integration RTA. So via RTA only will integrate the data between your source system to your IBP. So this is how it looks. So if suppose this is your source system S4HANA, and this is your our cloud system IBP, and in order to IBP with the S4HANA, so there should be an interface, right? That is a real-time interface RTA. To set up that, we need a one more channel, that's a cloud connector is required, which will help you to connect your IBP BTP account to your on-premise system. So via that, once you set up the cloud connector, once you link your IBP to the S4HANA via cloud connector, so you can set up the inbound and outbound job with the help of the some communication arrangements. Okay, so this real-time integrations more or looks same as APO days, and the APO days to integrate the data from your source system to IBP, we use the core interface SIF. The same thing you are going to use when you are dealing with the order-based planning. The same T code, say from 1, say from 2, say from 3 to transfer the data between your source system to IBP. So when you're dealing with the RTI for the response and supply, so the results are in real time. So if something, once you set up the integration, if you are the new stock comes or if there is any changes in your transactions, so it will immediately reflect into your IBP and it will be considered in your corresponding planning runs. Okay, right. So now, so this is the content we are going to cover as a part of the training. So first we'll start with the model configurations. Once you authorize your model configurations, then we'll jump into the OBP specific configurations, how to set up it, and then what are the different planning profiles depending upon the planning we do. There are a lot, we have a OBP planning level is there, allocation profile is there when you're dealing with the supply planning with allocation, and we have a forecast consumption profile is there. We have a planning profile where you will maintain what kind of planning you want to do, all those things. And we'll go in details about the RTI, how to integrate the data from your S4 to IBP, how to set up the models to bring the data, whether it's a master data or the transactional data to IBP. All those things we'll discuss in detail. And once you set up the integration between your source system to your IBP for your specific model, so now they will see different scenarios. It can be a demand prioritization, how it will behave when you're going with a heuristic, how it will behave when you're going with optimizer by considering the lot size, lead time, or any other supply constraints are there. After that, we'll discuss about the deployment run. And then during the planning, when you're doing a heuristic or optimizer, to visualize the results, how we can analyze those results with the help of the gating factors app or the supply usage, all those things. And finally, we'll cover the transportation load building as well. Okay. So this is the content we are going to cover as a part of the training. So when this demo part is done, over to you guys for any queries.
Hey, hi Karthik, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Vikram.
Yeah, sorry Karthik, actually my mic was not working.
Okay.
So I just rejoined. Okay. So yeah, means if I talk about my background, right? So I've been working with this SAP for past 5 years. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So mostly I work in EPPDS, SAP EPPDS. Okay.
Okay.
So with the new synchronized planning with IBP, right? So I used to work with the IBP team, okay, where I need
Okay.
to like integrate between PPDS and IBPs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Order-based planning. So
Right, right.
yeah, so this is my purpose to get the knowledge of IBP and enter
Mm.
into this field also, okay, because I
Okay.
want to work in the future in IBP mainly in supply planning. So
Okay. Okay.
regarding the other modules, right, demand planning and SNOP, I
Mm-hmm.
means uh, subscribed your previous sessions, okay, where I learned about this demand planning and SNOP. So only the OBP part was pending, so that's why I decided to go with this OBP training.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Thanks, Vikram. Yep. So hope you seen the demo. What are the things we are going to cover and how it is going to be in the OBP.
Yeah, it was good actually. I think,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Raj or Divya, any questions from your side? Divya, you are on mute if you're talking. Raj, you can go ahead.
So you are going to do everything real time in the system during the training, and they are going to show everything, right? Right
Yeah,
from
right,
the
right, right. We'll start with our own planning model,
okay.
and we'll try to set up the connections for that only. And then we'll create our own products in S4HANA, and we'll bring that product data or the master data to our planning model, and we'll try to go ahead for the further plannings.
Another
We'll
question is,
create our own set of data for our all the scenarios.
so how long, how many sessions it may, 2 hours every session, how many sessions it may take for the entire course
So,
to run?
so specifically the response, it will be around 20 hours, okay, to cover the complete order-based planning.
Okay.
And what would be complete means integration between S4 and IBP, right? I think we will be like
Yeah.
transferring the
We are
data
going to
to
cover
S4.
that RTI. So
Okay.
how to create an integration models, how we can transfer the master data, transactional data to IBP. We are going to cover that.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Thank you.
So I think Raz, you know, right? What is a planning model, how it is there in the time series and all. So the
Yeah.
only gap is you want to upgrade it to the order-based planning.
Yes, correct.
Okay, good. So what about you, Divya? Any queries from your end? Divya, if you're talking, you're on mute. So you guys aware of the planning model? What exactly the planning model are?
Yep. From previous session, yes, when I attended the demand and supply planning, right? So that time I got to know the planning models.
Mhm,
Okay. Means there are IBP 07 or something like
mhm.
that we were using before. And I think in IBP OBP there is some other planning model.
Right, right. Okay. What about you, Raz?
Yeah,
And
I know. I know. Yeah. 7F or 7 we can use.
okay, okay. So I will quickly recap the purpose of the planning model. Okay, and
Okay.
then we'll move into the OBP related things. Let me know once you guys able to see my screen.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, this is you guys obviously aware it. So as we have two UIs, one is Excel UI, Web UI. So in order to access our IBP via Excel, you should have a Excel ID in place. So I'm skipping this. Hmm. So why exactly the planning model is required when you're dealing with IBP? What is the purpose of to have a planning model? So, so for example, if you want to do any kind of planning, let us say demand planning, in order to do the demand planning, what is the major input required?
In sales history.
Yeah, exactly. The sales history is required. So with the sales history, you can able to predict the future sales. So now, whenever you wanna do the demand planning in IBP, one is a sales history is required. But when you have the sales history, so against that you required the master data as well. I mean, for what product that sales history is there, at what location you have that sales history at, for which customer you have the sales history, right? So we require product, location, customer, and during which time you have that sales history of, let us say, 100, during which period you are having that. Okay, so whatever this product, location, customer, these are all called as a master data.
Yep.
So, and whatever the time you are mentioning, right? So this will be determined with the help of the time profile. Okay, so now to describe these master data, we need a characteristics. What are those characteristics? So, for example, in order to describe your product, we'll use certain characteristics. What are those characteristics? So, in order to describe your product, you require
Attribute.
the product description, product family, brand, product type, right? So these are all characteristics. We call it as a attributes.
Okay.
Yeah, product ID, product description, product family. Okay, or if we are want to describe about your location, so location ID, location description, the region, like that. We need certain characteristic to describe any kind of master data. So these characteristics we call it as a attributes, right? So
Yep.
now to define this sales history, so you need to mention that for which product, at which location of which customer, during which period. So to define that sales history, you need a planning level. Okay. So we need a level. So basically the level will help you to determine your transactional data. So that we call it as a planning level. The level at which you are going to describe your transactional data is called as a planning level. So this planning level again will be formed with the help of these attributes only. So for example, here for the product of location for customer during a week, you're having a sales history of 100. That means for the product P1 at location L1 of customer C1 during Jan 2025, you're having this 100, right? So to define this transactional data, we need a level. That level we call it as a planning level. Now, good, we have the objects to save your master data and the attributes and the levels as well. So similarly, to define to keep your transactional data, we need an object. So that object we call it as a key figures, right? So these key figures will be determined against your planning level. So here the key figure name is sales history, right? So now to exactly define your data, we require all these things, right? We require master data. To define the master data, we need attribute. To define the transactional data, we key figures, but these key figures, in order to define it, we need a level, right? So to keep your master data and the transactional data, you require all this setup. So this will be kept under a structure called planning area. So what we'll do here is planning area is a structure where you will keep your master data and the transactional data. And this planning area will be formed with the help of your master data and time profile. So with the help of that, you will create a structure called planning area. And as You have a master data in the planning area means you have a attributes. Now with the help of the attributes, you will determine the planning level. Now against this planning level, you will create a key figures. Okay. So now I have a structure and where I'm having all these things. So that means I can able to manage my master data, transactional data within this structure. So this whole setup theoretically we call it as a planning model. Clear?
Yep.
So now let us see one by one. So the planning model, the first object in a planning model is an attribute. So basically, attribute is a characteristics which we use to describe your master data. For example, product ID, location ID, customer ID, resource ID. Okay, these are all the attributes. Now, with the help of the attributes, we form a object called master data. Okay, so this is like product, location, customer, all those things. Now, time profile. Basically, these contain the hierarchies and the planning horizon during which you are going to manage your transactional data. And next thing is a planning area. This is a structure which will be formed with the help of your master data and your time profile. Now, with the help of those attributes which were there as a part of master data in your planning area, you will form a planning level. So basically, it's a combination of your attributes at the respective time level. Now, against this planning level, you are going to create a key figure to store your transactional data. Okay. So, for example, here to define the simple sales forecast quantity, you require all these things: product, location, customer. So we require product master data, customer master data, and location master data. With the help of these master data, we'll take product ID, location ID, customer ID from this, and from the time profile, we'll take a week and we'll form a planning level. And against that, we'll define a sales history. Okay, so that I can properly define my transactional data like this. So here the planning level is at the product, location, customer level.
Okay.
So the first thing is attributes. Basically in IBP, there are four different types of attributes are there. One is NVARCHAR, second is a decimal, third is an integer, and the fourth one is a timestamp. Okay. So I think you guys might aware the attributes, how to determine it, but can you guys recall when, in which scenarios we'll go for the NVARCHAR, in which cases we'll go for the decimal, in which cases we'll go for the integer or the timestamp? You guys remember?
Names, descriptions are alphanumeric. We can use characteristic navchar. Quantities, we can use decimals. Quantities, yeah, or cost factors, we can use decimals. Integers are priorities or anything, we can use integers. Timestamp, maybe for calendar time or something.
Right. So, for example, to determine any, let us say you want to determine your production version, production source data, there is a validities for that. So, in order to determine the validity, in order to keep the validity, which contains the your time data, during which date of which time Okay, it's valid, and up to what time and what date it is going to be valid. So that to determine that kind of information, you require a timestamp, right? And in order to determine your alphanumeric value like location ID, product ID, customer ID, which is a combination of your alphabets and the numerical values. So in those situations, we require a NVARCA data type. Decimal is like if you want to store any kind of, if you are dealing with your, let us say, inventory planning. So we have our target service levels, right? So if you are maintaining your sourcing rules, what are the different sourcing rules we have in time series? We have a customer sourcing ratio, we call, and production sourcing ratio, location sourcing ratio, all these things are there, right? So those sourcing ratios will be your decimal values, zero point 0.1, zero point 0.3, like that. So to keep that kind of data, we require a decimal data type of attributes. An integer, if you wanna keep, let us say, the location pin code, if you want to store it. So location pin code is always a positive integer, right? So for that kind of information, if you want to store for any specific master data, then we'll use an integer data type. Clear?
Yeah, Karthik. So
So
one
now,
question, Karthik. Sorry.
mhm,
So if the standard attributes that we use, right? So the types are already mentioned there, right? We don't need to maintain like separately.
yeah, right. So we have already some predefined attributes which comes as a part of some sample planning models. But when you want to create a new ones, okay,
Mhm.
so new
Okay.
ones, and depending upon what kind of data you want to keep in that specific new attributes, you can choose these four different types of data types.
Okay. Got it.
So now next thing is a master data. So with the help of attributes, we'll define a master data. These master data can be a simple, compound, a reference, and external, and the virtual. Simple master data is your location, product, resource. These are all the simple master data. Now, compound master data is a combination of your simple master data. So, for example, do you guys remember any compound master data in the time series?
Location product, customer product.
Yep. Location product, customer product, resource location.
Location.
These are the master data. So basically, for example, you have a product master data which contains all the products information which is there in your organization. So location master data is there to capture, to have your location details. How many DCs are there? How many manufacturing units are there? How many suppliers are there? All those information you will have it. Now, for example, you have, let us say, 100 products. 100 products may not be available at the all the locations. Some products you manufacture at the specific location. Some products you manufacture at the some other manufacturing units. So to define exactly which product will be available at which location, we need a location product master data, which contains the combination of your product and location, right? And similarly, let us say your resources are the work centers data. So in which location we have that resources, okay, to determine that we need a location resource master data. So that is the purpose of the compound master data. In order to define your respective situations, we need to combine your simple and the we need to combine two simple master data that we call it as a compound master data. So next is a reference master data. Reference master data is nothing but whatever the attributes you are going to have in your new master data, that you are going to refer it from some existing master data, so that when you are uploading the existing master data, whatever you have referred, it would automatically update your new reference master data attributes, right? So the best example we have in IBP for reference master data, do you guys remember? What is the best example for the reference master data? Remember? Vikram or Raj?
No, Karthik, sorry.
Yeah. So currency master data, you remember currency?
Okay.
So, so currency master data, in order to define your exchange rate, so source and the target currency both are required. So you can convert USD to INR or Euro to INR or Euro to USD or Dinam to some other currency. Okay. So your source currency or target currency contain the same set of records, right? But the only thing which changes is the exchange rate, right? So that is the reason in your IBP master data, basically we have source currency and target currency. So both are going to have a similar kind of record, that is a currency ID, currency description, and here also currency to ID, currency to description. Right. So if you upload one of the master data, you can refer the same records into your target master data as well. So that instead of uploading twice, you can upload one of the master data and it should automatically reflect into the other master data. For that purpose, one of the master data will define as a reference master data and we'll do the mapping. So which record, which attribute has to be mapped to the respective attribute in the reference master data, right? Clear?
Yep.
The purpose of the reference master data. So the next is the external master data. What is an external master data? So when you define a product as a simple master data, either you can load the data directly in IBP or you can integrate it from your source system or you can upload it. But whereas an external master data, if you define the same product as an external master data, you can't able to change it. You need to get it from your source system only. Okay. Let us say S4HANA, if you are bringing the data from your S4HANA, so those master data record directly you can't add it in your system. Okay, in IBP directly. It has to come from your source system. If you want to change certain fields, you have to change it in your source system only. Then only it will reflect into your IBP. So that kind of master data is called as the attributes. Sorry, external. So the best example for this kind of attributes is the order-based planning. The order-based planning only, we are going to have the external master data. Clear?
So means we can define like any kind of master data as external master data. Like in order-based planning, we'll be getting the information, suppose about the product, location, everything from S4, right?
Yeah, yeah. So when you are defining any master data as an external, you need to link your respective data source.
Oh, okay.
So from which data source you are bringing the data. You can define whether it is a product, location, customer, any kind of master data you can define as an external. So when you are defining that as an external, you need to provide the respective source, right? So from which source you are going to bring it. You can define it.
And that would be part of mapping, right, Karthik?
Yeah. Yeah. right?
Okay.
So the next thing is a virtual master data. So virtual master data looks similar to your compound master data, but here, so in order to form your compound master data, what will happen when you form a product and location? You combine and you form a location product. So in the location product, the key attributes of the respective master data will be automatically added, right? Here, if you say product master data, so you have a product ID, product description, product family, a brand or the group like this. So, and the location master data, you have a location ID, location description, the region, location type, like this. So when you form a location product compound master data, which is a combination of your location and the product, so the final attributes will automatically consider your key attributes of your respective simple master data. This should be there, right? So on top of that, you can have any one of these, either of product description, product family. If you really want it in your location product master data, you can have it, right? But mandatorily, the key attributes should be there, right? Now, the same way, when you're combining your simple or the compound master data, but here it is need not to have a key attributes in your final list of attributes, okay? And these will be formed with the help of the join condition, okay? So that we called as a virtual master data. Virtual also, you are simply combine two or three simple master data or the compound master data, but those will be combined with the help of the join condition, and there is no restriction as such. You need to have a key attributes in your final list of attributes. You can have any kind of attributes by satisfying that join condition, okay? So basically virtual master data, as it didn't have a key attributes as a mandatory, so it won't be stored in the database. So at the time of loading your master data, it will pull it from your respective master data and it will display to you. The moment you close it, the virtual data will be disappear. It won't store any data anywhere in your database. Clear? It's like a SQL queries. It will pull, or it's like a CDS use. What we do in the CDS use, you will join certain tables in S4HANA and it will display the respective fields in your CDSU, right? It won't store the data at the backend. The moment you are calling that CDSU, it will display all those things, right? That's where the virtual master data will be useful. Clear?
Okay. So
So the next,
any example Karthik on virtual master data that we mostly use?
so we use in the uh, production source resource, the production source, uh, some validities if you are maintaining. In those cases, we'll use the virtual master data. Just a
Okay.
second. Hmm. So here you can see production source resource activity. Okay. So activities IDs, if you wanna have it. So in those courses, we'll join two master datas here. So those are the production source resource master datas and the respective header. Okay. So this is just for your visualization perspective only. It won't store any data. So here we have combined your PDS activity and the resource, and these are the attributes you pulled up from your respective master data. Okay, with the help of the certain join condition. This is the join condition. Okay.
Okay. Clear.
So the next thing is a time profile. So time profile is required to have the hierarchies. Okay, so those hierarchies can be a week, a year, a month, a quarter, depends upon what are the hierarchies you want to have in your planning area. You need to have that many hierarchies in your time profile while determining it, while creating it. Right? So IBP will support all the hierarchies, day to year, all those time levels it will support. So you guys know the difference between the technical week and the calendar week, right? What is the major difference and why we require the technical week?
Yeah, means technical week when some of the weeks are divided into two different months, right? So
Mhm.
in that case, we go with technical week.
Right, right. So during mostly the calendar week and the technical weeks look similar for the most of the weeks, but at the starting of the month or the ending of the month, you will have a difference between a calendar week and the technical week. There you will exactly mention what are the days which exactly belongs to the current month and what are the days which are belongs to the next month. You exactly differentiate it. So when you are dealing with the technical week.
Yeah.
So now with the help of this time profile and the master data, you will create a structure called planning area. So in this planning area, so you will have all the list of attributes for the respective master data. So and the respective time profile. So here you have a time profile and the respective attributes you will have as a part of the master data. So now with the help of attributes, you will define a level to define your transactional data. So that level we call it as a planning level. So planning level is a combination of those attributes and the time. So again here the planning level contains the two types of attributes. One is a root attribute and the second one is a non-root attribute. Root attribute is nothing but the key attributes of the respective master data, and non-root is a non-key attributes. Okay, so root attributes will be useful to save the transactional data at that specific attribute level. Non-root attribute is for the navigational purpose. Okay, if you want to view the data, you have a, let us say, sales history. Sales history generally we define at the product location customer level, right? The data will be stored at the respective product, respective location at the customer ID level. Now, if you want to view the data with respect to each product family for your respective products, whatever the products you have, I want to visualize at the product family level. Okay. So then, in order to have that, the product family should be there in your planning level. All right. So this planning level is not a key attribute. So this is just if you certain product IDs, if you combine, then it belongs to one product family, right? So product family is a not a key attribute; it's a non-key attribute. But you want to display the data at the respective attribute level. So in those cases, we'll use the non-root attributes. Okay. So this is for the navigational purpose when you are visualizing the data. Clear?
Yeah, clear.
So what about you, Raj?
Yeah, I'm clear. I have a question. Does planning levels in the time series and the planning levels in order-based planning, does it change? As I understand, I've seen something like there is a demand type is also added into it. Is it true?
Uh, uh, so come again, your voice is a little breaking.
Yeah, my question is planning level what we use in time series? Is it something different from planning level? What we use kind of planning level, what we use in order-based planning areas.
Yeah, yeah. So there is a slight difference with respect to order based on the time. So here, with respect to the time period, so generally in your time series, you can either have a week or a month. Okay, suppose if you are doing a self lab, you will have a month level planning levels, and if you are dealing with your let us say demand planning, it is a month again, and the supply planning, it is a week, right? But whereas when you're dealing with your order based planning, okay, the planning level should be at the day level.
Okay, day level and also we are demand type also has to be there, right?
Right, right, right. Demand type will be there in the respect to planning level.
Okay, thank you.
So the next thing is a key figures. So the purpose of the key figure is to have a transactional data. So here, these are the list of different types of key figures which you have in IBP. Those are stored and the calculated, are attributed as a key figure, snapshot key figure, alert key figure, helper key figure. So what is the difference between a stored and the calculated?
So calculate it is basically we need to define some calculation logic, right? So where it gets the value.
Right. And what about stored?
Stored, we can directly like upload it the means in the master data values, and it can't be changed. I think directly, right?
So stored is the key figure which you can uh, 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 which you can key in directly or which you can load it. Okay. But whereas calculated is, it depends upon the other key figure values, and this will be determined with the help of the specific calculation expression. Okay. So
Okay.
by loading other stored key figure values, this calculated key figure will automatically determines its values. Okay, based upon the calculation definition. So you no need to upload it, you no need to key in the data for the calculator. You can't.
Means in the
So
planning view, we can directly enter this stored key figure values, right? Not, but
right,
not for the calculated one.
right. Calculated will be has to automatically determine it. So you can't key
Okay.
in the data for the calculated, but whereas for the stored, you can load the data, or you can directly key in the data in the planning views.
Okay.
Based upon the type of characteristics. Again, stored has a different characteristics: editable in the current period, editable in the future, editable in the past, are all editable, right? So depending upon that specific characteristic type in your respective key figure, then you can either key in the current periods or the future periods, like that. Okay.
Yep.
So the next is a attribute as a key figure. So when you want to use any specific attribute to define your key figure calculations. So then you will convert that attribute to your key figure so that you can leverage those attributes in your key figure calculations. So the best example we have uh, for attribute as a key figure. What is the best example we have?
Conversion
Remember?
factors.
Yeah, UM conversion factor. So we upload the master data in the UM conversion, and same thing, we'll use it in your key figure calculations as well, right? As a key figure. The next is a snapshot key figure. So snapshot will be used to take previous, for example, if you are running a forecast on a monthly level, okay, so whatever the previous forecast result is there, okay, you want to take a snap of it before taking the next forecasting run so that it won't replace the existing values. So, so in IBP, max, how many snapshot we can define?
I don't know, 11 or something.
Raj, so how many we can define?
I don't recollect. I don't remember.
So 12
Well,
not snapshot you can define for any key figure. That is the limit. Okay. And next thing is the alert key figure. If you want to define any alert based upon certain condition, you will use the alert key figure. Alert key figure has two outputs. One is 1 and other one is 0. So alert key figure didn't have any characteristics. Okay. And it will be determined based upon whatever the condition you have mentioned in the calculation. Okay, accordingly it will throw an output either 1 or the 0. Okay, and the helper key figure. What is the purpose of the helper key figure? If you guys recall, what is exactly the helper key figure?
Breaking down large calculations into smaller ones. It acts
Right,
as an intermediate key figure to store for the next level of calculation.
right, right. And how can I identify the helper key figures when
It,
I
it starts
give
from
the,
edge.
yeah, go ahead.
It starts from edge.
Okay. Any other criteria is there to identify helper key figure? Well, it will always starts with the H. You are right. And helper key figure didn't have any planning level as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, so that is the reason we can leverage the helper key figure any calculation in any calculations. So generally, in your key figure calculation, there is a restriction. You can't use more than two key figures which are at the two different planning levels, right? But for your calculation, if you want to define it, you need that one more key figure. So that in that case, what you can do, you can create an helper key figure by taking that as an input, and you can call it in your main calculations. So helper key figure didn't have any level, right? You can use that, right? Clear?
yeah.
Right. So the next thing is when you are creating your planning model, and that will be represented by a planning area. So we have a versions as well, right? So we have baseline version, upside and downside are depending upon your requirement. You can create a number of versions. So generally we have the versions to have a alternative plannings. So to keep your alternative transactional data, we'll use the versions, right? Now in IBP, we have a, along with the versions, we have a simulations and we have a scenarios as well. Do you guys remember what is the purpose of the version? In which cases we'll use the scenario and which cases we'll use the simulation? Any idea? Or do you guys recall?
Yeah, means scenarios can be created on fly, right? So if we and means we just want to check the alternate results. Okay, but if we want to save the results as well, right? So we can create alternate versions.
Mm-hmm. Right. So versions to not only for the alternative plannings, if you want to have a backup. So in those cases also we'll use the versions. So in order to have the version, you need to configure it in your planning area. Okay. On the fly, you can't create it. Whereas scenarios is like a On the fly you can create it within the versions, right? So it no need to configure at the planning area level. You can on the fly create. If you want to keep the data, you can keep it. If you want to promote that scenarios data into your baseline, you can promote it, or if you want to delete it. Whereas simulations, you can run it at that point of time only. The data will be there. The moment you close the planning view, the moment you close that Excel, the data will be disappear, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
depending upon the situation, you can use the any kind of object here, whether it is a simulation scenario or the versions. So if you see here, so when you execute any a planning with the scenario, all the data will be stored. Okay, and the versions can have its own master data as well. But whereas simulation, you can execute it to whoever is executed, he can only see that the moment he close it, the data will be disappears. Okay, there will not be any saving in the data. But scenarios, anyone can create it, and suppose Raz is created one scenario, and the same scenario Vikram can also see it if he shares it. But whereas in the simulation, if Raz executed the simulation, so either me or you can't see that because it won't be stored anywhere. You can't share it. But scenarios, you can share it. Clear?
Okay.
And the scenarios will use the baseline master data only, and it will be always in line with your baseline master data. So you can
So
see
if
the
we
base.
want to,
Hmm.
sorry,
Yeah.
so if we want to change the values from scenario to version, right? So we can directly do that as right.
Yeah. So if you want to keep any scenario master data to the versions, you can promote that.
Okay.
Just a second. Right.
And that conversion only can be happen on the base version only, right? Not the other
Right,
versions.
right. Scenarios. So if you see here, so this will be there with respect to the baseline only. Okay. So you can promote that to your baseline, and after that, if you want to have it into some other versions, you can copy it version to version.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Right. Scenarios and the simulations will use the respective version data, but when it comes to going with the versions, you can have the master data version specific as well. So each version has it have its own master data as well. That is also possible.
Okay.
Right. So I hope you recalled what is the purpose of the planning model. I mean, you guys aware it, but I just recalled it so that we can leverage those concepts in your order-based planning as well. Okay.
Yep.
So these are the apps we regularly use when you are defining your attributes. We'll use this, and for the master data is this, and for the time profile, and oh, this is for the planning areas. So now, if I go into the sample planning models, so when you are defining your own planning model, no need to create from the scratch. So SAP by default created the some sample planning models. If you are doing with the demand planning, what are the key figures required? What are the master data required? So with a defined set of objects, they already created the planning model. So you can just copy of it and you can create the new one by copying it. Okay. So these are the some of the existing planning models. depending upon what kind of planning you want to do it, you can leverage this planning models. Unified planning model is majorly if you want to have all kinds of planning in a single planning area, okay, and that to a time series, then we'll go for the SAP IBP one, which if you create a planning model with the IBP one as a reference, then you will have all sets of key figures which are relevant for demand planning, supply planning, and inventory planning. Okay, all those information you will have it. So, for example, SAP 8, it is only for the DDMRP, and SAP 7 is for your order-based planning, that to external. 7F is for the flexible. Okay. So in the case of 7, so we discussed it, right? We have a master data called external. So there, what I mentioned, if you define any master data as an external, you can't change it directly, right? So you need to change it in your source system to reflect it. So SAP 7 contains all that kind of master data only. Okay. And whereas 7F is somewhat flexible. Some of the master data, you can change it directly in IBP. Okay. It need not to be changed in a source system to reflect into the IBP. You can directly change certain attributes of the master data in your IBP system. So that's where the 7F comes into the picture. Clear? Both are for your order-based planning only, 7F and the 7. But there is a slight difference in the managing master data.
So Karthik, in my current project, right, they are using some harmonized planning area also. Is it the
So
latest one?
hardware planning area recently, I mean, in the last two releases, they have introduced it. Okay.
Okay.
So this is like combination of your IBP 1 and the 7F. Okay. So, so in a IBP 1 will contain all the time series key figures, right? So the same master data or the key figures, if you want to leverage for the order-based planning as well, so then the IBP2, it's IBP2 contains, and if you create a planning model with the help of IBP2, then you can manage both time series and order-based planning in the same planning area. Okay.
Okay.
So this last 2-3 releases they have introduced this, and maybe in the next two releases they are going to explain. Suppose in the project some of the people implemented 7F or IBP 1. Okay, so how I can migrate from IBP 1 to IBP 2, or how I can migrate from 7F to IBP 2. Okay, so in the next release, they are going to explain that 2605. Okay. So after that, we'll have a full-fledged IBP2. Okay. Whoever already implemented, they have to migrate to IBP2, or whoever newly implementing it, they can directly use the IBP2. Okay.
Okay.
So here, when you are copying the IBP1, if you see here, you can see order-based key figures. It's not enabled in your unified planning area. Okay. Only time series will be there in IBP1. If you look at the 7F, only order-based key figures will be enabled and the time series will be disabled. Okay. But whereas in IBP2, both are enabled, order-based key figures and the time series also. Okay. That
Okay.
is a difference between the planning models, IBP1, IBP2, and 7F. Clear?
Yep.
For our training, we are going to use the 7F only. Okay.
Okay.
And if you want to go with the specifically the demand, then you will go with the SAP 6, or specific for the supply planning, then 4S. Okay. So depending upon what kind of planning you want to do it, so you can choose the existing sample planning models. Clear?
Yep. So means this decision has to be taken in the initial phases only, right? They can't, like, we cannot change it later on
Right.
if we are going
Mostly,
with 7.
mostly in the projects, we always, if it's a time series, we always go with the IBP one only, because it contains all the key figures which are relevant for all kinds of planning on the master data. So even suppose if you are doing with the demand planning today, so tomorrow if you want to go with inventory planning, in the same planning area you can go ahead. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you always go ahead with the IBP one until unless if specifically business team says that I want to go with only the respective thing, you can go ahead. But otherwise, we prefer the IBP one. Okay.
Okay, and if both order base and a time series, then we need to go with IBP 2 or
Yeah.
7.
So now now if you are implementing it in the
Mm-hmm.
coming days, okay, when IBP 2 is full-fledged, all the functionalities are enabled, then we'll go with the IBP 2 only.
Okay.
Even though you are doing a only time series or only order based, still we'll go with the IBP 2. Okay.
Yep.
Currently, they are developing in this area. When you are dealing with IBP2, what are the things has to be there in place? Okay, they are doing all those setups. So almost everything, whatever you can do in IBP1 or 7 up, they have it in the IBP2, but still there are here and there some changes they are doing it. Okay, most probably in the next 2 releases, it will be stabilized and you can directly use it.
Yeah. So one question, Karthik. So if suppose if the client is using SAP IBP one, right, for demand planning and SNOP, okay, and
Mhm.
they have also order based planning that they are using the 7 app,
Mhm.
okay. So if for demand, how they transfer the demand plan, right, from IBP 1 to 7 app?
We have a respect domain, right? So we can have a copy operators to copy the data between two planning areas.
Okay, in that case we go with copy operators. Okay.
Right, right. That is the only way, right?
Okay.
Right. So this is about the planning model. So in the next session, what we'll do is we'll directly jump into the our planning model. Okay. So to carry out the order-based planning, whatever the planning model you require, we'll copy it and we'll create our own thing. Okay. We'll try to set up the settings for it. Okay.
Okay.
Clear?
Yep.
Yeah. So what is a suitable time for you guys in the weekends? So in 8 only, or is it possible to join at 7?
Yeah. Means I'm okay with 9, but not 7, Karthik. 9 or 10.
Okay, okay. What about you, Raj?
Yeah, should be fine. Anytime should be fine. But I should be let know what's the time regularly it will be, because I can prepare myself regularly at that time to be available.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, then. Yeah. So we'll connect in the next session and we'll proceed further.
Okay, so a quick question. So every session will be for 1 hour, or how it will be like? So
No, it's a starting session, right? So Naveen told you take 1 hour, but from next week onwards, it will be 2 hours. So
okay, okay,
yeah, it will be 2 hours.
okay. Next week again it will be at 8:30, right? On Saturday. Sorry, 8 o'clock Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, we are having 2 hours or 2 plus hours each day. Yeah.
Okay.
So the approach will be like first, I'm going to cover the theory, and the same thing I'm trying to set up in the system. And you guys also do the hands-on on the respective concept, whatever I have discussed. That is how we'll go. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay
Bye.
then. Thank you
Have a
guys.
nice day.
Happy weekend.